How we're continuing our chat with Sam Holland today. If you missed last week, he introduced himself and told us a bit about his background in music. If you don't know Sam, he's a very successful YouTuber, has 13,000 subscribers and has really done excellent in building his audience over the last little while. So this question that I asked him for today's interview was, if you had to start your music career right now from scratch, knowing everything that you know, what would you do? How would you go about starting that, and what would you focus on? So his answers, I think, were fascinating, and we can definitely all learn a lot from Sam's answers to that very question. So let's flick now to that interview. Sam, if you had to start your music from scratch, what would you do?
So I would, obviously you've got to work at, let's say you're good at your craft anyway, but there's always stuff to learn. Just like post as much as possible, basically. Even if you're just working on something, show the progress of that thing. So I don't know, if you're learning a new song, for example, or if you're writing a song, you could post the first little clip that you've done and say, oh, this is what I'm working on. And just people like that sort of stuff, don't they? They like the progression. They like to see the progression, because before it was very much everybody just saw the finished product and the wow factor, and they feel like it's an impossible feat. But the fact that now that people can see behind the scenes and the development, it's like, oh, so it started from a seed of an idea, or that person wasn't very good to begin with, but they've progressed. I can do that as well. So it gives people a little bit more hope, so they want to follow along and they like to see that. Is this making sense? I feel like I've got so much to say.
No, man, that's good.
None of it's making sense.
No, very clear so far, yeah.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to say there is, and I'm guilty of it as well, people think that they have to get something perfect before posting, but that's not the case. It doesn't have to be finished, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can just say, I'm working on this, it's not perfect yet, but by the end of the week, it's going to be better. And do you know what I mean? Things like that.
So do you think that's around kind of transparency? Do you think it's more powerful to be not less polished, but at least like be more human?
Yeah, I think so. Like, it depends what you're trying to do, I guess. Like, for me, as we were talking earlier, I'm going to be working on a video about color grading with cameras. Now, I'm no professional colorist by any stretch, so anybody watching me who is going to think, what's he talking about? But there are people that want to know how I do it.
Like me.
So you said transparency. So up front, I will say I'm not a professional colorist, but this is my process. And anybody that likes the look of the things that I do will go, I want to know how Sam does it. And a lot of people don't like the technical stuff either. So sometimes they just want to hear it from somebody like themselves who's on the same journey and doing it an easy way. You know, if Sam can make it look all right and he shows me how to do it, I'm happy with that. So posting a lot and, yeah, just like not judging yourself about the quality of it to begin with, because it's going to progress. Like, I know a lot of people that don't post because they don't think it's perfect enough yet or good enough yet. But what that does is it slows down the growth. So they don't get the views on YouTube or whatever it is. They don't get the listens on Spotify. But if they're posting a little bit more, it's going to always help. Going back to my music days, I really wanted to make that band work and do that as a full-time thing, whether it was being a recording artist or going on tour and stuff like that. But I feel like I always had a backup plan. I always had a part-time job, and this isn't financial advice, by the way, to anybody. But looking back, I feel like because I didn't give the music thing 100%, the part-time jobs got in the way. And for as long as you feel like you've got a backup and something else is taking up your time, it's gonna pull you back. And obviously you got to make sure you can pay the rent and pay your bills and stuff. But if you can somehow either save up to allow yourself that time to go full time with whatever it is you're doing in music or YouTube or whatever, then that's going to help so much. Because I feel like with COVID, for example, all of my work dried up. I had nothing. So I was like, this is the perfect time to try YouTube, and because I went all in, you see the growth more. That's what I'm trying to do now, is go, right, no backup, no choice. I can't failure is not an option, basically, and it seems to work.
That's awesome, man. I'm really glad you brought that up. I listened to a podcast of yours, or that you were interviewed on a while ago, The Hive, I think it might have been called.
Oh yeah.
Where you talked about that, and you said that, with the video stuff on YouTube, that you just did go all in. And I've always been a big believer of this. No, like, if you've got a plan B, then plan A, it will never work, or it's rarely going to work anyway. And, I've got a similar story with the studio. Obviously, like, this is a big fit out. It was kind of a big risk. And for ages, I was doing it part-time with my brother. So just next door, we had a cafe. So it was kind of doing the daily turnover in the studio. I could kind of be a bit flexible with it. But they wanted to sell off the cafe part. So for me at that point, it was like, can I just do the studio full-time? And like the books probably said no, but my passion just said, well, let's do it, and just jump in. And it was rocky, but and then you just see the growth, because you've got no choice. Like, you got to make it work.
Exactly. And it's a scary thing. And I don't like to tell people that, because you don't know what their financial situation's like. It's different for different people. But like when your energy is focused on one thing, it's much more likely to happen, because it's just little things like, if you were at work, you can't, like, that's so much time that you could be spent investing in doing whatever you're doing. It's just a massive difference when that happens. It's a big shift.
Like, can you do this gig Friday night? Oh, no, I'll ask my boss. I've got to work. Can you?
Exactly. Even if it's just like spending an hour checking the stats of your latest song, how many people listened to which song? This is the most popular song, so let's write something like that. And like, the checking of the stats is the things that people put to the bottom of the list, especially if they're at work and they've got a job to do. The last thing they want to do is that. They want to just write stuff. But if you've got the time, the extra time, like for me, for example, looking at the YouTube stats is a very important thing. And because I've got the time to do that, I can. But if I was at work, I'd be ignoring that and probably going down the wrong direction.
So you would post a lot and be transparent so that people can see the journey. And then the second thing you do is you'd go absolutely all in, have no plan B, and just chase it hard.
Yeah, if it's financially possible to do that, then yeah. It's just little things, like if you think, I've got no money coming in this month, I need to go out and make it happen, then I could just film a little advert and say that I'm filming a wedding. I can film a wedding. And somebody will see that, and then you get paid, and that's it. And then you can work a little bit more. Or if you're a musician, you could go out and do some lessons for a little bit. Like, some people don't like doing that. Some people would rather work a shelf stacking job than teach or whatever. So it all depends what you want to do, doesn't it? Because when I was teaching at college, we were having a discussion with this class, and we were talking about different styles. And this particular lad, who was a drummer, liked sort of like heavy metal music. And we were talking about Motown. And he said that he wouldn't want to play in a group that does Motown because that's selling out for him.
Okay.
And I said, but so would you rather do a Motown gig for a couple £100 a night for the night, or work in a factory? And he said, I'd rather work in a factory. And that was his choice. And for me, I would rather go out and do a gig playing jazz or Motown or whatever it was than work in a job full time. At the time when he said that, I was like, you're mental. You call yourself a drummer, you should be drumming any style. And those different styles are going to help you with whatever style you want to play the most.
Yeah.
That was my view, but he obviously didn't see it that way.
This has been a good chat. I just can't stress how appreciative I am of you doing this with me today. I really, thank you so much.
Mate, it's my pleasure.
Given the choice, would you go with a label or would you stay independent?
I guess I haven't really had the experience of being with a label. And there's loads of different, or I would guess that there's loads of different contracts and terms and conditions that can be drawn up. So if you can get a label that is flexible and it allows you to do things the way you want to do them, but actually they still do their work and it works out well, then that'd be great. but sometimes you might have to stick within very rigid lines, and that can sometimes kill the buzz. So I guess it all depends. I don't really have much experience with that. We were very much, we didn't have a label to answer to. We did everything ourselves, all the music videos, all the promotion. You know what? I would probably say these days it's probably great to do it yourself, but then you're going to need, like, so here we go. My YouTube channel, for example, there comes a time where you can't spend time on certain tasks, or somebody would be better answering emails for me so I can go out and film. It'll get to the point where if you do it all yourself, you're going to need somebody to book a tour for you. You know what I mean? Because you might not be able to do that yourself. That's a difficult thing to do, so you can outsource that. So there's going to be, if you do it yourself, there's going to be areas that you need covering from other professionals, but at least you've got the freedom to do things the way you want to do them, if that makes sense.
I mean, and that's a good problem to have, I think, if you get to that point. So I've done that with the studio over the last couple of months. I'm like, actually, it'd be so helpful if I could spend more time mixing and less time writing quotes. So getting somebody to help me do that. But I think as an independent, if you were doing that with your music or even with your YouTube channel, you still regain complete control and creative direction. You just, because you're the boss, you're not the...
You're the boss.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, because you can say, I need this doing, and I'd like it to be this way, please. And that's it. You're the boss. It's not like, oh, by the way, now, guys, you're going on tour, and this is where we're going.
I think now I can't see a benefit of... obviously, I can see a benefit, but I think there's so much room for independent if you're willing to do what you said right at the start and go all in. So if you're actually willing to do it, because I think some reasons people want to sign for a label is because they don't feel like they're legit until they get that. But if you can if you can take the plunge and say, no, I am a music artist, I'm doing this, and if you've got that motivation and sort of passion driving you, then just with the internet, man, I just reckon you could do it independent, hey?
100%. There's so many people that have just posted a 15-second clip of them singing their favourite track, their version of it, and now they're going on tour and because they've got their own following.
Yeah.
And it's doable. It's just a lot of effort. People don't realise how much work it actually is.
Yeah, and
sustained work as well.
That's what I was going to say. There's effort to build an audience, but then there's effort to sustain and nurture and kind of, keep that audience.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly, man.
Which when you look at the YouTubers and go, oh man, wouldn't that be good? Just get up and film a video. It's like, oh, what about the emails and the...
And also, like, so many people are like, oh, how do you work with that company? I want to be sent these cameras, and I want to be sent products to review, and they don't realise how difficult it is to, negotiate with these companies, speak to them with proper etiquette, and make them want to work with you again. You got to jump through hoops sometimes and deliver on what they want, but you've also got to stay true to yourself and your audience. It's hard. It's hard to negotiate. They don't realise what they're asking for, really.
Yeah.
And like you say, nurture and keeping that audience there is the biggest thing.
Yeah, just providing that constant stream of value, not just content, not just, buy my CD, but actually like...
Exactly.
Yeah, offering continual value.
Great stuff, man. Well, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks, man.
Thanks again.
Hey, well, I know I got a ton out of that, even for this channel, for the things that I'm doing with music. Super, super helpful advice. Just post a lot, be super transparent, and just go all in. Give yourself the best chance to succeed by just committing to it. So thank you so much, Sam. Look, I've got three more big questions that I asked Sam. So there'll be 5 videos in this series altogether, which is exciting. I'm just so grateful for Sam giving up his time to chat to us and share his knowledge. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can keep up to date with all those new episodes coming out over the next little while. Make some music this week, and we'll talk again soon.